Lady Evangeline Raine adored the country. Unlike London, Chichester was clean. The air was not heavy with fog, and it was completely free of gentlemen on the prowl for an heiress with a large dowry. After her previous disastrous seasons, crammed to the brim with silver-tongued fortune hunters, the last she could definitely do without. At 21, she'd had quite enough of sly suitors and their fickle promises. But while going to town was the least of her priorities, it was unfortunately her younger sister's greatest wish. And what Viola wanted, Viola usually got. In fact, it was the reason her sister had been living in France with her Aunt Justine for the past 2 years. She'd been desperate to go to Paris. She was obsessed with fashion, and their father hadn't been in any frame of mind to argue. That and the fact that the Earl simply had been at his wits' end after his wife took off for parts unknown a handful of years ago. The Countess of Overton had simply disappeared. She'd left a letter. Evangeline had read it, but had taken great pains to hide it from her younger sister. Viola had been an irrepressible 13-year-old, and Evangeline barely 16. The Countess had wanted to be free of the tethers of marriage and motherhood. She'd been betrothed too young, hadn't had a chance to live, wasn't happy, along with a handful of more selfish excuses. Considering how much Viola adored their mother, Effie had wanted to protect her sister from a wounded heart. What kind of woman hied off without a qualm in the world, leaving 2 adolescent daughters behind? Men weren't the only ones with fickle hearts, it seemed, which was why it stood to reason that one should guard themselves against love's crooked arrow. At least, that was what Evangeline believed.
"Honestly, Effie, I do not understand why you have to be so dull," Viola grumbled over breakfast. "I haven't even had anything that counts for a season. At least you've had yours. And now I'm practically already on the shelf facing a future alone and decrepit. Don't be dramatic."
Evangeline bit her lip to stop herself from saying more, saying worse, that her sister was an overindulged brat who should hardly complain about her rather privileged circumstances. It was no secret that Aunt Justine had spoiled her rotten, horribly so. Case in point, Viola did not like being told no.
"Perhaps you should wait another year," Evangeline said calmly. "You're barely 18. The season and all its considerable fripperies won't go away, never fear." "This is insufferable," Viola wailed. "Living in wealth and comfort on a 4,000-hectare estate is insufferable to you," Evangeline murmured, noticing their father lifting his newspaper even higher as though erecting a barricade against the incoming storm. "Papa!"
Viola screeched.
"Your sister is right. Perhaps it's best to wait another year."
The Earl of Overton cherished both of his daughters dearly, but Evangeline suspected he saw how much like oil and water they had become, especially in the 2 years they'd been apart. Evangeline lifted her brows in challenge.
"I am right. A season is simply a grandiose affair to pander to the men of the aristocracy." "Spare me your patronising scolding, Effie," Viola shot back. "Not everyone wants to succumb to ennui as you seemed so comfortable doing, although you have your animal shack and your fur-loving diversions and I have nothing." "The shelter is a home for lost and starving animals. It is not a diversion or a shack," she replied. "Those poor creatures are in danger of dying without proper food and care. Can't you be a good Samaritan in town? There are hungry dogs there too."
Evangeline could, but it was London. She'd rather douse herself in horse piss than ever set foot there. And besides, the local shelter home for animals was her passion, and it was wholly hers. She could not abandon it.